too loud.
Hello and welcome to Live at Epiphan. It's Thursday afternoon and we're here live in the Epiphan studio. This is episode 11 and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Dan Wallace.
I'm George Herbert.
And let's get right into it. So today we're actually going to be talking about YouTube and Facebook, the two big live stream platforms. And we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the pros and cons of each.
Yeah, which is a really interesting topic. We do this show on both platforms at the same time, but a lot of people need to know which one to choose. And there are a lot of reasons why you might take one or the other, and we wanted to cover those. As usual, if you have any questions, put them into chat. And this is a big one, I think, that could really demand a lot of questions. So please jump in there and ask anything you might have. But I guess we can, dive right in. As usual, like, subscribe, and send us any suggestions for future shows. live@epiphan.com is the email address, and we'll check that out.
And if someone wants to jump into the chat with us today, what's the best way to do that? Right in the YouTube or Facebook chat?
Both, as long as you're not duplicating. But yeah, either one. Again, we're live on both, so whichever one you are watching right now, jump in that chat and fire your questions away, and we'll get to them. So maybe I'll pass to you, Dan, and throw us some big numbers.
Okay, so I've got the big stats here. We're going to be talking about some of the big numbers related to YouTube and Facebook, first of all. So let's start with YouTube. YouTube has 1 billion unique users monthly.
It's billion with a B.
That's the big B, billion. Watch time is very high on YouTube as well. Would you believe that there is 1 billion hours of YouTube watched daily? Daily. 1 billion hours of YouTube is being viewed.
I thought I watched too much, but whoa.
It's actually insane when you think about it. 50% of those views actually come on mobile, so people watching on their device. And in terms of content, creators are actually earning six figures. Now, a lot of creators are making a lot of money through the platform, and that the number of creators earning six figures or more through YouTube monetization is increasing by 50% year over year. In addition to that, here's another big number. The average mobile watch time session is actually 40 minutes.
40 minutes?
Yes. So a lot of people are watching YouTube videos for long periods of time on their device. Furthermore, YouTube actually has more viewers age 18 to 49 than any U.S. cable network.
Wow. That's a big one.
It is. It's really, the shift has happened. It's no longer taking place.
That number, I guess in some of our previous episodes, we've talked about, I guess even last week, we were talking, how do we integrate more traditional media into live streaming and vice versa. That number right there is why.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? When YouTube alone, we haven't even talked about the Facebook stats yet. That number, that's the demographic everyone wants.
The 18 to 49, that's where a lot of money is spent on advertising, that 18 to 49 category. So, that's huge. It just goes to show that mobile viewing, online viewing is really the place to be right now. Let's talk about some of the big Facebook numbers. So Facebook, 1.3 billion daily active users. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, we know that Facebook has a massive user base, but not all of those are live streaming.
Of course. People go onto Facebook for a lot of reasons, not just video.
Right.
Something to keep in mind. Facebook, what else? 4 billion video views daily.
Okay, so that's a big number.
That's significant, especially when you consider that Facebook is sort of new on the scene, relatively speaking, when it comes to video.
Is that counting all of them that are even maybe cross-posted, or is that purely actual native Facebook video?
See, that's a good question. Video views daily. I'd be interested to know, and that's the big thing, is what is a view, right?
Right.
Is a view, if you're scrolling through your timeline and you happen to see a video and it starts playing, is that a view? According to some of my research, a Facebook video view constitutes 3 seconds of viewing a video.
Right. So especially dominated by mobile users, when you're just scrolling through, things autoplay and you just keep going.
Exactly. So take that stat how you will. Another interesting stat for Facebook, 65% of video views are on mobile. So that's actually more percentage of mobile viewing than YouTube is. So
That makes sense.
So people are watching videos more often with their device on Facebook than they are on YouTube.
But that makes sense to me, though. That one makes sense.
What other interesting figures? 20 to 40 seconds is the average video watch time. It's the best performing video length on Facebook, apparently.
Well, again, that makes sense. You know, like those tasty videos of little cooking recipes and stuff like that. They're no more than that.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
It's sort of conducive to the timeline viewing
Yeah, absolutely.
method, right? Of scrolling through and getting little quick snips of a variety of content.
Right.
This is my last big stat I'm going to discuss for Facebook, but more recent videos hit 1 million views on Facebook than any other platform.
Like they're hitting it quicker?
The stat that I have as it reads is that more recent videos hit 1 million views each month.
Okay.
So certainly a lot of YouTube videos hit 1 million views. It's not uncommon at all, but it takes a lot longer.
Right.
Whereas with Facebook, it's happening fast.
Interesting. Okay.
So another interesting statistic. So there's some more information behind some of these statistics that we'll get into a bit. But I thought first, before we get into like some of the reasons why you choose one platform over another, maybe you can tell us, George, a little bit about some of the technical aspects of YouTube and Facebook for live streaming.
Yeah, so obviously there are big technical differences between the two platforms. Overall, live streaming is what they're both doing. Facebook being relatively new to the live stream part, they've had obviously, video on demand for a long time. So they're starting out fairly easy, going with a maximum resolution of 720p, which is HD, but not full HD. And again, on a mobile experience, probably not a big deal.
Yeah, really. I think a lot of the time when I try to watch videos 1080p on my phone, I can't really tell the difference, and it's also eating up my data a lot.
Exactly.
Quicker. So I'd prefer to watch it in 720p a lot of the time.
But with 720p, obviously to match, they have a similar bit rate maximum of up to 4 megabit or 4,000 kilobit per second at 30 frames per second. Again, they're gearing this very much towards the mobile experience where it doesn't quite matter as much. YouTube being in this much, much longer, they have a much higher ceiling, almost crazy levels. You can do YouTube Live as high as 4K at over 50 megabit per second.
That's pretty cool.
That's more than most people could possibly support. Connections, even on a corporate connection, many businesses don't have the bandwidth to support that level of streaming. The nice part is that they think, and they could do it at 60 frames per second, even at that, which is crazy. So if you're depending on, I guess, the type of content that you're trying to put out there, there are pros and cons from a technical aspect for those platforms. If you're targeting mobile viewers where it doesn't really matter, that there's one way to go there. If you are a professional cinematographer and 4K is your thing, and then obviously there's only really one way to go from a technical aspect. I think,
which would be what? YouTube?
Right.
YouTube being, if you want the premier quality of video streaming available, YouTube is, at least now, the better platform.
For the social media angle, yes, I would say so. YouTube has some other neat ones in there, like multi-camera options, where you can send multiple encoders to the same stream, and the viewer can actually choose which one they want to
camera. I've
view.
seen that.
Yeah, not a lot of people use it, but it's a really cool feature that anybody who's thinking about playing with that, I check it out. It's actually pretty cool. It actually can lead to more viewer engagement doing it that way. There's obviously other CDNs as well that we don't lump into that social media
bracket. When you say
bracket.
CDN, what is a CDN?
So the actual acronym is Content Delivery Network. It used to mean something completely different from what it really means today. Today we're talking about streaming servers where they're ingesting and redistributing a live stream.
Okay.
It used to mean literally a network that was built to deliver content. Now it's a little bit of a different meaning in some ways. The same idea. So there's a ton of companies that do this, and they're usually paid service providers. When you go that route, you get all kinds of different options. And for some people, for technical reasons, they want that. They don't necessarily want it to be public on social media platforms. They're looking for specific player types, customized branding reasons, all kinds of security, lots of things. And so that's sort of a separate piece. And today we want to focus again on sort of these two extremely popular, becoming more and more popular, even within the corporate world, for reasons that we've discussed in previous shows, customer engagement and all those things. So from a technical standpoint, it's what's the content you're putting out there? We even, as I mentioned, do this show on both platforms simultaneously. We do the YouTube one at 1080p at 5 megabit. We do the Facebook one at 720p at lower. So, there are differences there. The nice part is we have, as Epiphan, our own equipment to be able to do that with ease. In this case, we use our Pearl 2, but there are lots of other ways of handling that as well.
Yeah, I must say it's pretty cool that we're able to stream to both platforms simultaneously. We don't have to make that difficult decision about which platform is better for us. We can just do both. But for somebody who maybe is just starting out, let's say you're starting a business, or maybe you're a blogger, or maybe you're looking to build an audience, the question is, which platform do you start with?
And that's the tough question. So I know you were looking at some data on that in terms of some rough guidelines, I guess. And some of that's just driven from audience types, I suppose.
So I guess maybe what we could do is talk a little bit more about some of the pros and cons of each platform, and then we can get into, why someone would choose one over the other. So with YouTube, it tends to draw a slightly younger audience than Facebook. Okay. One reason for that could be that, Facebook requires you to be logged in for certain to watch.
So your account has to be within their age restrictions.
Exactly. YouTube, I believe, did they have an age restriction for their accounts?
No, because you don't have to have an account.
Right.
Anybody can watch it. I mean, you can, as a creator, you can check mature content so that it theoretically doesn't appear for underage people. But
so at any rate, YouTube is typically a little bit of a younger audience than Facebook. Okay. It's also one interesting thing with YouTube, as opposed to Facebook, is you can embed your streams external to the website. Mm-hmm. So you could take your stream and embed it on a website or an event page or a landing page, whereas with Facebook, not really so possible to do that. YouTube tends to be a little bit more of an engaged audience. The reason being that people go to YouTube for one thing, to watch video, to immerse themselves in video content.
Right.
Whereas with Facebook, people who are seeing videos typically log on to Facebook for a variety of reasons. Maybe they come across video, but it's not always the primary reason that they are using the platform. Another thing to think about, this is obviously a big decision, monetization. YouTube, of course, there is the Google AdSense platform, in-stream ad viewing. It's possible to generate money using your video content. Whereas with Facebook, there is no way to do that. So if it's important to you to be able to monetize your video, to get analytics on your videos as well, that's something that YouTube does that Facebook doesn't do. Another interesting consideration is just in terms of how you actually find video on each platform.
Right.
Of course, with Facebook, people come across videos by scrolling through timelines. Maybe they like a page, and then the page will give you a notification when you are live.
Yeah. So I was actually going to pull that up and kind of show some of the other ways on those two different platforms. Just as a contrast, how you might accidentally discover things is very different between the two platforms.
Right.
So if we switch over, I'll show my laptop here. Facebook has this really cool system of the live map, and you can go down the left-hand column on Facebook if you're viewing it on a desktop, and there's a little live video link there, and it'll bring you to this map. This map is global, and all the little dots are people streaming, and if it's a bigger dot, there's more streams coming out of that location. So you can discover things nearby, or maybe I want to watch this dude in Spain, whatever he's doing, right? So there's lots of little things that you can do. YouTube, on the other hand, the common YouTube interface, you can go to browse channels and then see what's live. And it's going to be basically a playlist or recommendations that YouTube thinks you want to watch based on your account. And watch history, as YouTube always does.
Right.
But there's no fancy map or anything like that. Now, specifically for gaming, which is big on both of these, but more for YouTube, then the YouTube gaming interface has its own unique style where it's sorted by content type.
So the type of games that you're actually streaming.
Exactly. So it's still not a map, but it's a little faster to drill down. If you're an Overwatch fan, or whatever, there's quick ways to jump into those. But I really think that, although I don't honestly know too many people who use it regularly, I do think that the Facebook map is a cool way of accidentally discovering a content creator you've probably never heard of because you just happen to be poking around in this map. And
yeah, like, I mean, I'd certainly love to just zoom in on my neighborhood and see if there's anyone local to me who streams. Like,
it's very cool. So again, you look down in Toronto, there's a few things happening, things like that. So it's interesting anyways.
Yeah, certainly. Another consideration just in terms of, the content that you're creating is to remember that even though you're live streaming, your video lives on video on demand afterwards.
Right.
Right? Now, with YouTube, it's a much better platform in terms of actually searching and finding specific types of content that you might be looking for. Where, of course, we know, like, YouTube is the second biggest search engine next to Google.
Right.
And a lot of people use YouTube to search for cat videos, to search for how do I fix my car, how do I do this.
Right.
Whereas with Facebook, it's really not optimized for SEO.
Yeah, it's not really indexed. It's definitely a lot more random.
Well, have you ever searched for specific types of video on Facebook? I know I haven't, right?
No, and if I do want to search for something, I usually start with a Google search, but YouTube videos are indexed on a common Google search and are ranked higher. So they pop up, so you end up there anyways.
So in terms of someone actually being able to find your content after you stream or for months or even years after you stream, YouTube tends to be the better platform for that. You're going to continue to have more viewers over a longer period of time, whereas Facebook tends to have a lot more immediacy.
Right. So YouTube's the slow burn. Facebook's kind of, it's there. Even if it stays there forever, you're probably not going to get a lot of views over time.
I had one stat I looked at that said 50% of Facebook video views come almost immediately. So, whereas with YouTube, a lot of those views are spread out over the life of the video, which could last years or months.
There's definitely a curve to it, but...
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay.
So we've just talked about a whole bunch of stats, a whole bunch of, technical specifications for both platform, but we really wanted to find a way to translate this to real life and to the average folks who might be looking to do some live streaming. And we have a fun little game we actually prepared. We went around the office and we got people to sort of give us some different use cases, different types of media creators, and we're going to pull them out of this bucket and then discuss which platform might be better for each case.
Number one, I'm a freelancer citizen journalist. Which live streaming service should I use? That's a good question.
That is a good question. So, I don't know. If I was a video journalist or a local video journalist, I might want to use Facebook. Because Facebook, well, it depends what type of news, but Facebook has a lot, like we just said, a lot of immediacy. So a current event that's happening locally, it's going to be easier for people to find that on Facebook than on YouTube, probably, wouldn't you think?
With the map system, if you hear about an event, you could go to the Facebook Live map, where this thing is happening, and you can jump in there and see who's streaming and maybe pick up something. So, as a viewer. So, yeah, I would agree with that. I think Facebook's probably the better place. Again, if it's live. If you're looking for a documentary, then maybe not. But, again, let's focus on live, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree. Okay, my turn to pull for you.
Let's see.
Let's see what we got here, George. All right.
Well, that looks like a long one.
Okay, this is fun. So we are a small coffee shop that serves ethically grown fair trade coffee. Business is great. We plan to expand and think live streaming could help us get our message out. Which platform?
That's definitely possible. I personally would say Facebook again. And I think that's because Facebook, you are already going to have customers that have liked and followed your business page. And so if you're putting live streams up on your business page, they're going to get notifications and they're going to hit that anyways. You're also not looking for a global audience. You're looking for a local audience, which is definitely where Facebook is going to be better in the more immediate vicinity, because people already have some tie-in, whether it's their groups or pages.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Certainly, a lot of small businesses already have a Facebook page, so you have a built-in audience right there who will get a notification as soon as you go live.
Yeah.
And you already know that audience is people who maybe have visited you in the past, who have gone through the step to like your Facebook page.
And you're going to grow it by people checking into your business. Someone says, oh, that sounds like a cool place. They click on the business name, they jump on your page, they see all your VOD, and you get a lot of engagement that way. So, all right, what do we got here? This one's similar, but if you're a travel brand that's marketing to a global audience, like a hotel chain or a cruise line, which platform would you choose?
That's interesting.
That's a little trickier.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. I mean, my first initial reaction is that if I was a global brand, I'd probably want to be on YouTube rather than Facebook for my video content. Reason being that if someone searches for travel videos, if someone searches for what is the best cruise ship, I want my video to show up in that search result, whether it's Google or on YouTube.
I would agree with that. Yeah. And I think for just the indexing and SEO value of the searchability of that type of content, I would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. And as we know, as we mentioned before, YouTube tends to have a little bit more of a global audience. So if you want to branch out and expand your brand internationally, YouTube might be the better platform.
All right, let's grab another one.
My turn. We got a few left here. All right, George. I run a family-owned restaurant. We have a website and loyal customers who like our food. I'm considering live streaming as a way to get more people to find out about us and try our food.
Well, I think this one follows the same thing as the coffee shop example. Again, you're looking primarily for local engagement. So Facebook is probably the better choice for the same reasons, really. At the same time, I think food as opposed to coffee maybe sometimes steps out a little bit depending on the type of content you're producing. Mm-hmm. If you're doing, let's say, an actual cooking show out of your restaurant, then you're probably going to be monetizing because you want to get a little bit of money kicked back, and you want it to be global just for the larger audience. And so in that case, you might choose YouTube.
I think those are all good points, and I would agree with both cases. I guess it really depends on the type of content.
Which one of these are we going to disagree on here? This is
I know what's going on here.
All right. I do reviews on the internet of various products.
Okay, so the classic tech blogger, perhaps. I think this one's pretty easy, in my opinion anyway. I would go on YouTube. Reason being that if you're a blogger or someone who creates content for the masses, you might as well be monetizing that, and you might as well be generating some revenue based on that content. The other thing is, when it comes to product reviews, products are sold all over the world. They're not necessarily local. You might want to, YouTube even has a great feature now where there's translation happening, there's closed captioning happening. You don't necessarily have to be in the same language as your viewers. So I would suggest YouTube for that.
And once again, the searchability of it. So.
Okay, and let's see, last one here.
Last one?
Well, we got two left. I'll take this one, you take
All right.
Okay, here, this one's fun, George. I'm a gamer. Which platform?
Is that a question?
It just says, I'm a gamer.
You know what? That's a tough one because that could honestly go either way. I enjoy playing games. I know you do as well. And I think I also view a lot of game content online. Usually on demand, not live. So that could be a tough one because if you're small, just starting out, as we've talked about, you can build a channel and an audience faster on Facebook, starting with your more immediate friend circle.
I mean, you already have probably 1,000 friends on Facebook, and those people...
Yeah. Even if it's 200, right?
Now,
You're starting with that.
Now, that being said, as a gamer, do I really want my entire network seeing me playing Halo at 1 a.m.? I don't know. I don't know. So maybe not for Facebook for that case. But if you're, in high school or something, and you just want your friends to be able to interact and engage with your gaming video content, Facebook might be a lot of fun.
I would think so. And I mean, if your channel and your audience grows to a certain size where monetization becomes a thing, and now with YouTube, that has to be a fairly significant audience. They're putting in some rules now that, you don't really get much or anything unless you start getting a significant number of views. There's no point in being on YouTube necessarily if you're not getting money out of it in that situation. In all honesty, we haven't talked about this yet, and maybe it's a different show altogether, but maybe you would be on Twitch.
Yeah. I mean, Twitch, for those of you who don't know, Twitch is a massively growing platform for streaming video game content and other things as well. But Twitch tends to be the go-to platform for streaming game content. Although, as we saw, YouTube is trying to eat into that market share a little bit.
For sure, yeah. So we have our last one from around the office, and then we did get a couple in chat, so I'll take a look at those. Funny enough, this one is also a question that's up both of our alleys. I'm a motorcyclist, and I like doing video blogs that I want to share with just my friends.
Okay. So I know you're a biker. I'm a biker too. Yeah. Motovlog is a very popular style of content.
Yeah, it is. And the majority of them are definitely on YouTube traditionally, usually for monetization. But in that, the wording of that question is a bit different. It's specifically for the friends. So I don't think monetization is included in that question.
No, it sounds like someone who wants to engage with the community of motorcyclists around their local area, probably. So in that case, definitely Facebook.
Yeah, I would think so. You could start a group, or you jump onto, maybe another community page, or any of those things. Yeah, so, if you're doing a bikes and coffee, cars and coffee style thing in your local community, then Facebook's probably the place to be for that.
And what might be an option is, you could start your channel on Facebook with your existing network and build that audience, and then transition over to Facebook once you reach that sort of critical mass. It's a lot easier, as we said, to start building your audience on Facebook, whereas YouTube, it takes some time to get a little bit of engagement and get those first viewers.
So one question that we did get in chat from Facebook, I guess it's more of a little bit of a statement and a question. I guess to get the most reach, streaming to both Facebook and YouTube might be wise. Depending on the content. I think what we're doing with this show, that's absolutely true, because we're trying to hit audiences everywhere around the world on however our customers engage with us, and so we're going to hit both platforms at the same time. If your content is conducive to that, I would, absolutely. That becomes technically more challenging and maybe a little bit more expensive in its terms of startup cost.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned we're using our Perl 2 to do that, as it's a multi-encoding system. So it makes it really easy, but it's not the same level of investment as someone who's going to do a software stream using OBS with our AVIO 4K, right? That's a very different level of investment. Even our Webcaster X1 or the soon-to-be released Webcaster X2, very different level of investment. One of the other questions in there was actually about the X2, was would it be able to stream simultaneously to both platforms? And no, it cannot. When you're looking at those more lightweight devices, they just don't have the horsepower to do that. And there are some rules when you're leveraging those companies' APIs in the terms and services that you're not allowed to do that. When we look at something like Perl, where it is multiple unique encoders not using those APIs, that's a different ballgame. So, yeah, technically I think it's more challenging at a low investment level to do both. Mm-hmm. But if you are a business, medium to large business, and you have that investment capital available, absolutely you can do both. Absolutely there will be value in both.
There's also just the sweat capital that goes into setting up multiple platforms, right? Like to do it properly, you really need to, you know, be creating banners. You need to be creating video descriptions, thumbnails. There's a lot more than just streaming the video. You have to build the channel and the platform around your video content as well. So definitely you want to consider what social media platforms you're already using, and then maybe build in your video as a component of what you're already doing.
Where's your audience already?
It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money as well.
So I think that pretty much does it. This was a long one today. So we've mentioned a few of our products, and Epiphan, of course, has lots of products that can help people with these types of live streams. Definitely check out our website for that information. Coming up very shortly, we will be at Infocom in Orlando, Florida. Obviously, we will have all of the products we've talked about, and both Dan and I are going, actually. So if you're going to Infocom, or we're on the fence about going to Infocom, please come check out our booth. And I think it's booth 2050. And come by, chat with us, and we can sort of dive deeper into this topic in person if you'd like, and go from there.
And as always, keep in touch with us. You can contact us in the video chat. We live stream every Thursday at 3 o'clock. So we look forward to seeing you next week. And I think that's it for us. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.